Should you buy Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon? Well, hopefully, I can help answer that. This game's been compared to everything from the Elder Scrolls to Dark Souls, and while it definitely shares some DNA, it's doing its own thing too. Don't worry, there won't be any spoilers here. Most of the footage you'll see is from the opening areas to keep the mystery intact. And look, I'm not going to try to sell you on reasons like,
"Oh, you should support the developers,"
because honestly, I didn't care about the devs until I was already 15 hours through. Just a heads up, everything I say in this video is based on my experience, coming from someone who absolutely binged Elden Ring at launch, has played Skyrim more times than I can count, and nearly 100%ed Avowed. Yeah, that other RPG that kind of flopped this year. I've broken the video into sections so you can skip around to whatever matters most to you. Alright, enough talk, let's dive in. Imagine a version of King Arthur's legend where everything went horribly wrong. That's what you should expect in Tainted Grail. It's an open-world, dark fantasy RPG that throws you into the decaying land of Avalon, a world that feels heavy, bleak, and in a strange way, beautiful. At night, the weirdness, a magical curse creeping across the land, really comes alive. You'll run into more enemies, stronger ones too, but you're rewarded with better loot. It adds a nice layer of suspense and creepiness. There were times I genuinely debated sleeping until morning just to avoid dealing with it. That being said, I wish the game leaned into this mechanic a bit more. I never felt truly terrified to be out at night, and I kind of wanted that. The danger didn't quite match the atmosphere. Now, visually? No. It's not the most graphically impressive game out there, but what it lacks in raw visual detail, it makes up for with an incredible art style. Everything has this gritty, painterly look that fits the tone perfectly. It doesn't try to look too real, it tries to look right, and honestly, it nails that. Now let's get into the combat. It's basically just your classic mix of melee and magic. You have one-handed swords, axes, and spears, but you also have two-handed varieties of all these weapons. Shields in this game can have a huge impact, and there's a parry mechanic that you can upgrade through its own skill tree. If you're like me and want to take the magic route, the spells actually look cool and they feel good to use. It's also refreshing that you can dual-wield magic again, as I assume a lot of people may be coming over from Oblivion Remastered. There are also consumables, throwing knives, splash potions, that kind of stuff, but to be honest, I barely touch them. They're there if you want to mix things up, but I just never did. Now, the hit detection, it can be a bit rough. It's not bad, but it's definitely not always tight. That said, the game gives you a lot of freedom to approach combat your way, which I really respect. One last thing, combat revolves around a dash mechanic. It's not a dodge like in Dark Souls or Elden Ring. It's more of a repositioning tool. In fact, it can sometimes throw off your own swings if you're not careful. So it's useful, but it takes some getting used to, and you definitely need to use it unless you just want to get one-shot by everything. I honestly love the skill tree in this game. It's deep and surprisingly expansive. There are over 170 skills spread across 22 different trees, which gives you a ton of room to experiment with. The system itself is kind of a blend between Souls-like stat building and the more familiar Elder Scrolls style skill trees. You've got your base attributes, like power or endurance, and then trees that branch into specific playstyles. Whether that's magic, stealth, tanky defense, you can do whatever you want to. What I really like is how flexible it all feels. No matter where you invest your points, you're going to feel it. It actually supports your unique build instead of punishing you for not min-maxing. Leveling is also pretty fast, at least early on. You can gain a couple levels an hour just by doing quests, exploring, or fighting. Honestly, it's kind of refreshing. You don't feel like you're grinding just to make progress. Instead, you get enough skill points to actually use some of the game's more unique and interesting abilities. Now, of course, the more you play, the more this slows down, so just remember that. This game definitely nails the exploration. The maps aren't necessarily massive, but they're dense, packed with things to find, secrets to uncover, and dungeons to conquer. I'm the kind of player who loves running around the entire map trying to discover everything, and Tainted Grail actually rewards you for doing that. If I swim out to a tiny island that barely shows up on the horizon, there's probably a chest there with some unique gear waiting for me. The game really encourages that curiosity. You're constantly checking behind every door, diving into lakes, and poking around every dark corners just in case there is something hidden. And more often than not, there is. It just makes exploring feel genuinely rewarding. Now, I've never considered myself a dialogue critic when it comes to games, because honestly, I just didn't care that much. But I do think Tainted Grail does a pretty solid job. The writing is engaging, and there are some genuinely entertaining characters, like this one drunk guard who had me laughing out loud. That being said, some of the voice acting does feel a bit too modern for the setting. It's not that bad, but every now and then it pulled me out of the immersion just a little. Still, nothing that ruined the experience for me. One thing that did get a bit tedious was how long some conversations could be. I'm talking 15 plus dialogue options with a single NPC. That wouldn't be an issue, except sometimes you have to exhaust all of the dialogue just to trigger a certain NPC's questline. That said, I really appreciated that I could roll into a village, talk to everyone, grab a bunch of quests, and then head off to explore. It made the open world feel more alive, and all those scattered quests acted like natural waypoints that helped guide my journey and just made me want to explore more. Honestly, what surprised me the most about Tainted Grail were the little things. You can fish, you can sketch in your sketchbook, you can mine, cook, brew potions, and even build and upgrade your own little crib. There's a ton of optional content if you just want to chill and roleplay a bit between your quests. I want to take a second to talk about the cooking system, because it's actually awesome. In most RPGs, like the Elder Scrolls games, I never felt the need to pick up ingredients. I know they have uses, but it always felt kind of pointless to me. But here, I'm out here hoarding mushrooms and berries, whatever I can find, because the food actually matters. Meals regenerate a huge chunk of your health, and they can even autofill one of your hotbar slots, which saved me more than a few times when I constantly ran out of healing potions in the early game. Oh, and the sketchbook, you can actually fight with it. There's a full set of unique animations for it, like stabbing enemies with your pen or just straight up bonking them over the head with your journal. It's totally ridiculous, and I kind of love that they leaned into it. Alright, I said I wasn't going to sell you on the developers, and I'm still not. But I am going to note that Tainted Grail was made by a smaller AA studio, meaning you should expect some weird bugs. For example, some of the enemies can get bugged, allowing you to just cheese them while they can't even hit you. Or sometimes your swing animations look like they're gonna hit, but they don't. On the flip side of this, some enemies have extremely long range on their attacks, seemingly flying through the air at you while in the middle of a downswing. I also came across this bug which I called the jitter, and it's just that. Either your character or an NPC will be stuck jittering, and the only way I found to fix it was to exit to the main menu and reload my save. So, should you buy Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon? Well, if you're into darker RPGs with deep lore, tons of skill customization, and a haunting world, you'll probably enjoy it. But if you're looking for a more polished combat system or tight dialogue writing, maybe wait for a few more updates or just don't buy it. Either way, I hope this video helped you make a more informed decision whichever way you go. And I'm curious, leave a comment down below if this video helped you guys decide. I truly do appreciate everyone who watched this, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Baba out.